Hello, Thunder Wizard. So this is Redefining Myself vlog number 10, I believe. And I'm going to call this one Reality Testing. So let me once again be clear with you about why I'm doing this Redefining Myself vlog series. Um, I am doing it for personal reasons because I have the kind of mind that it helps for me to talk things through. And I do this. I mean, if you saw me, if they put a hidden camera in my house, or if you followed me, on my daily walks down to the beach, you would hear me talking to myself. And I consciously do that because I need to do that in order to be able to find out. I ask myself questions like, why do I want to do that? Or why am I feeling that? Or what does that person want? And, as I talk myself through those answers, I figure things out. I do it because emotionally it helps me, and specifically this thing called reality testing. I'm just using that name now. It helps me to take a look and see rationally what's going on with my feelings. I do it for you, number one, because people have asked. If you're new to the channel, then you, or if you're not new to the channel, I should say, then you saw, however many months ago it was, probably 8 or 9 months ago, something like that. I made the decision, and I was thinking about wanting to move here to Australia. And then you saw me go through researching that and finding out that that was very difficult to do. But I decided that I would come here on a tourist visa anyway. You heard me as I talked about and went through the process of selling and giving away all of my possessions, so that the only things that I had left were things that I could fit into suitcases and a surfboard bag. And came out here not knowing where I was going to end up. And so that is what, and people asked, tell us about it specifically. Let us be there as you go through it and show us what's going on. So I'm going to show you, by the way, some really cool video that I took today of what is now my current favorite surf spot, even though today the waves were very small. But I walked down there, and there's a trail that you have to walk, park your car, and then you have to walk down a trail. It takes about 6 minutes to walk down this trail through the forest, and then it opens up on this just unbelievable coastline. And so I will be showing that to you. But again, I want to make sure you understand why I'm doing this. Again, from my perspective, I shared a lot of feelings, and I'm going to share a lot of feelings today. I shared a lot of feelings a couple times, and people did things like, emailed me, personally emailing me like 10 pages of, and trying to fix me. And I appreciate the gesture. They want me to feel better. But it's not a cry for help. I'm not doing this because I'm doing this as a cry of help. I'm doing it to reveal to you that I, your internet guru, if you're coming onto my channel because there are things that you want to learn, then I am here to show you that a true spiritual path involves completely embracing all of your feelings and all of your experiences, and then being able to have the consciousness to take positive, constructive action for yourself and for other people. And that involves, when you have a lot of feelings, to go through them. Now, I happen to be the kind of person, I have a lot of feelings all the time. There's never a time when I just don't have feelings. That's just not how I function. And I know there are people that naturally, are very even keel. In my experience, the majority of people actually are in denial of their feelings because we live in a society that shames you out of your intense or uncomfortable feelings. And we also have people who have a lot of crazy, chaotic feelings who are acting out of their unconsciousness. And they're creating a lot of chaos and a lot of damage for themselves. So I'm trying to share with you how to have all of that and to take positive constructive action with, number one, not acting out on all your intense or negative emotions and still having all of your feelings. That's the big thing about it. But I'm going to share with you something that I do today, which I'm calling reality testing. And I get that from that phrase, reality testing, from, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name, but he's written a few books. He's actually a writer. Now that I think about it, he's actually a writer, a fiction writer. But then he, according to his books anyway, he started having these alien abduction memories. Now, I'm not going to address any of that. That's not why I'm doing it. But he was talking about one time that he remembered, when he claims to have remembered, when he was on a ship and he was with one of the aliens and he was flipping out, and he said to the alien, "Can I smell you?" And when he was sharing this in regression with the therapist asked why, or maybe the alien asked why, and he said, "I'm reality testing." He was testing to see if he was sane, if this was really happening. Now, I'm not going insane. That I just like that phrase. I like that phrase because one of the things that I do, and I do this with my clients and with my apprentices, is I will listen to them. I will ask feelings, especially if I can sense that there's a feeling that they're struggling with or trying to hide, or if they're, even if they just are open with it. And I explore that with them. And then I'll ask them questions to see if they can see if what they're feeling is reflecting what's actually going on in reality. And so, that's part of the process. You have all of your feelings, you embrace them, but you have the consciousness to be able to go, is that really what's happening in my life? Or is that just me having some feelings that might not, I'm not going to say irrational, but might not be reflected in present reality? And when you have feelings like that, and some of the ones, one of the most prevalent ones is when you talk to people who have conspiracy theory addiction, people who go off on conspiracy theories, or people who believe that they are possessed, and people who believe that their chakras have been stolen by aliens, that they're these kinds of things. A lot of the stuff that you go on the internet and hear, there are people that contact me all the time that say these kinds of things. I've got voices, or I hear, or there are entities within me, or aliens, or this is an extreme example of somebody who has unresolved feelings from their past. And these feelings, they're in denial. They've been in denial for years. And so they're not aware of them, or they've shut them out. And what ends up happening is that it creates this delusion. And what ends up happening is people end up looking. This is one of the things that YouTube and the internet have done to make people more unwell emotionally, is that it creates this fodder, so that if you get this obsession about something, pick one. Pizzagate. If you get an obsession about Pizzagate, then you can find no shortage of information on YouTube and on the internet that will support that, whether or not that information is valid in any way. And people, again, lose critical thinking. They conflate. They do all this. This is a sign that this is what happens when somebody has unresolved feelings from their past. And when you don't reality test, you wake up in the morning, you feel angry, you feel crazy, you feel paranoid, you feel trapped, you feel this, and then this delusion will start to come over you about the government this and the secret and the Illuminati and the, and then you go online and yes, and not only that, but there are reptilian aliens who are walking the planet and they're controlling everything. And the Bushes and the Clintons and the royal family, they're not humans, they're aliens. This comes from unresolved feelings from your past. And people are not able to do reality testing. Okay, so I'm going to talk about myself now, now that I've pissed off a lot of people. Um, what happened is that I woke up this morning. Well, first, what happened is a couple days ago, I went surfing at my new favorite spot. I had just discovered it the day before. I went down to the beach and the waves were really small, and I saw that waves were breaking really just perfectly. Even though they were tiny, they were like, it was like, wow, that just came right out of a surfing magazine, those waves. And I'm like, does anybody else know about this? I'm thinking to myself. So I realized that next time that the waves were big enough to surf it, I would surf it. I went down another morning a couple days ago. The waves were supposed to be too small to surf. And I got down there and I said, I could surf those. Those waves aren't that big, but they're breaking so perfectly. So I rushed home and I got my surfboard and I went down there and I had the time of my life. It was so much fun. And it wasn't just that the waves were beautiful. It was just everything. The sun, the weather, the beautiful water. I was out there all by myself, just surrounded by nature. And it was just everything I ever hoped for. So I was on this high for a day and a half, 2 days. And then last night I had a bunch of weird dreams. Now that's not new since I've been here. That's not new for me. Just kind of normally I have a lot of intense dreams. But since I've gotten here, obviously because I've left my entire life, my 55 years of existence up until this point, I've walked away from it. I am still actively seeking to heal from the loss of my ideal soulmate that passed away a year and 10 months ago. And I'm in a place where I don't have any of my stuff, but there's nothing back home for me. I don't have any place to go back home. I don't want to go back home, and I have no guarantee that I can stay here. In fact, I don't know where I'm going to end up. According to my chart, there's a good chance I may end up somewhere in a foreign country. So not only do I want to be in a foreign country, my astrological chart tells me that. In case you've forgotten, 50% off all astrology readings with me for this month of August 2019. That's a savings of $200. You can save more if you go and get an astrology reading from one of my apprentices. And you go to astrology.thunderwizard.com to hear about exactly what those are and to get one of those. By the way, I've also got a new Thunder Wizard rune, certified rune reader, and he's just on there like right now, like in the past 24 hours. And for that, you would go to runereadings.thunderwizard.com. I need to promote that more often, so go there. Anyway, enough business for the moment. And by the way, everything that I've mentioned can be found at courses.thunderwizard.com. All right, so I had weird dreams last night. I'm not going to get into them. But one of the things that I've learned to do is that when I'm waking up in the morning, I'm not 100% awake. If I wanted to, I might be able to fall back asleep, but I'm still not 100% awake. I'm lying in bed. I'm going to get up. I could get up at that moment, but I'm probably going to get up in about 15 minutes or a half an hour. And what I do while I'm still in that sort of, half awake, half asleep state where I've just come out of intense dreams, because that's when I have my most intense dreams, is when I'm waking up in the morning. I'll go back and I'll go over in my mind what was going on, and I do this because I know this is my unconscious mind working through my really deeply held emotional issues, and so I want to be conscious of them. And I won't get into the specifics because it goes into people and things that you wouldn't know and you don't need to know about. But I became aware that there were at least 3 instances in the last few dreams before I woke up that represented walking away from my childhood home. Not that I've been there for years, but it has a lot of symbolism. It's home, right? And so walking away from that, letting go of all of that, having to consciously let go of that, let go of my partner again on a deeper level. And when I became aware of that, as I walked through the symbolism in my dreams and realized that's what that was about. Because here's the thing about dreams: a lot of the dreams you wake up and you go, that is a weird dream. I don't know what that was about. There's always some psychological symbolism. And if you're able to decode that, then you can find out what's going on under the surface. Why is that important? Because if you don't, then all that stuff is going on in your unconscious mind and making decisions for you. For instance, in my case, if I weren't as conscious of what I'm struggling to let go of, which has actually happened, I might find myself talking myself going back to California. In fact, when I've been tired or depressed or sad or disappointed, I found myself wanting to go back and look for houses to rent in Southern California. And nothing wrong with that. I got to have a backup plan in case, things go south. But, if I weren't as conscious as I was, that might take over a whole new life. And before I know it, I'm moving back to California without even really knowing why. Your unconscious mind makes all the decisions for you. So I really want to be able to know as much about what is going on in my unconscious mind so that I can make conscious decisions. Because it is not, at this stage of the game right now, it is not a good idea for me to go back there. That would just be a waste of time and money, and it would be regressive for me to, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to move forward and create a new identity and gain more success and more happiness. And there's no coincidence that it happened right after I had one of my most blissful, crazy fantasy experiences, which I might as well just show you that now, where I'm at. So this is my new place, and I'll keep talking as I walk you through it. But the car that you see at the beginning is the car I'm renting, and so it takes about 6 minutes. It's about a 6-minute walk, and I'll have to turn the sound down on that so that you can hear me talk over it. Okay. Why is it stopped? Why isn't it? What's the problem? Why aren't you going anywhere? That's weird. That is so weird. What the heck, man? Let's try something else here. Wow, I'm going to try something else here real quick. I'm going to try and upload it. And see if it will work for you guys. So bear with me for a moment. Thank you for your patience. Oops, you're right. Let's try this again. And I'm going to look for it online. Where is it? There it is. Okay, here we go. So I don't know why the other one wasn't working. So you saw my car. So this is the trail from the car. And you can see right off the bat, I'm walking through the forest. My apologies for, the jumpiness of it. I tried to stabilize it, but it actually made it worse. So what I have discovered from last night is that I'm still on an even deeper level, letting go of everything. And the combination of still, continuing to let go of my partner who has passed, and the disappointment of that, because I got to be honest, she was beyond perfect. I mean, I've had many loves in my life, but nothing ever came close to the perfection of that. And so that's really hard for me to let go of. I'll be honest with you. It's since I got here, still 6 weeks later, when I think about any serious committed romance, I get tired. I just get tired and want to go to sleep, which tells me that I just don't have the strength right now to do that, to give to anybody. And that creates an issue, as it so happens, on this very beach today, which was today. I think I filmed this today. I met a person who is a fellow California expatriate who has moved here and is now a dual citizen of both Australia and the United States. Just to give you an idea, there's nothing around. It's just a wilderness. That's on top of kind of like a, sort of a swampy little bog thing right there. And it turns out that she met somebody and married somebody, so that's how she got in. And I said, yeah, that looks like that would have to be the case for me as well. But I have I guess I could find somebody, and I'm sure there's somebody that would marry me. The question is whether or not, I'd fall madly in love with them or not. That's a whole other issue. But I'm just not in that place in my head right now. But going forward here. So, but the other thing that she said was that she pays double taxes. And then I really started thinking about it, because, and I asked, well, can't you give up your U.S. citizenship? But she's old enough that she gets Social Security, and she didn't want to give that up. And to be honest, I don't really know how much Social Security I would get. I wouldn't get it for another 10 years probably. And so would it be worth it to me to give up my U.S. citizenship? And then I started thinking, maybe this is better if I just keep bouncing around as a tourist. But that makes me sad too, because then the thought of not settling down, not having the choice to decide to settle down somewhere, really just, so that all that stuff sort of built up in me, and I was feeling very sad and disillusioned from the moment that I got up, and I could tell that I was going to be sad all day. So that's the reason why I came down and took this walk today that you're seeing me do, is because I knew I needed to get up off my ass. So that's one of the first things that you need to know. If you're like me, and I have a lot of emotions, as I said, if you're like me and you end up having a lot of difficult, challenging emotions, getting up and moving, doing something, getting up off your ass, get up and stop watching the conspiracy YouTube garbage, get up off your ass and go do something and be in nature. One of the things that I really appreciate about being here is that I am not watching the news every night and watching all the craziness in politics. I don't even want to know. I just don't even want to know. And since I'm not a citizen here, I don't have to, know what crazy political garbage is going on here. I just go and spend time in nature, and nature heals me, and I really appreciate that. So you can see this is a long walk. You see that? That's crazy. That's a crazy long walk. How long has it been? I don't know. 3 or 4 minutes. I think we're getting to the last probably section. I think on the other side of those trees in front of you up over the hill is the beach, so we're getting pretty close. In any case, this was an uncomfortable day for me, and I could tell it was going to be a bad day. And so here comes the reality testing. The reality testing is, and this is one of the reasons I did this, I was feeling really trapped. I was feeling very disillusioned. I was feeling like I had no options. Things start getting in my head like I'm getting really old, and I'm going to end up old and alone, and I'm going to start, and then I start worrying about how long am I going to be healthy, and all kinds of other crazy, stupid stuff like that. And so one of these things that these walks do, my apologies for my finger in front of the camera there, is that it gives me a reality check. Every time I get out and move, and especially if I exercise, I get an instant reality check that I'm actually in very good health. I look at my how my business is doing, and my business is continuing to increase. There's a couple of nice people that were saying hello as I walked by. And you can imagine the first time I walked this trail, and I come up over this rise here after taking that nice little, very relaxing walk, and there's the beach. And I'm like, holy crap, what is that? Am I in Indonesia? Am I in Hawaii? Where the heck am I? What is going on here? That's just really beautiful. So I just stand up there, and then over there to the left, which I'll show you in a second, is the surf break. You can barely see it. The waves are really tiny, but you can see, if you know how to look at waves, you can see that left breaking there. There's this channel where the sand falls away, and there's some rocks, and so it gets deeper. You can see I think Mount Emu, I think, right over there. And then going down the beach. So this is one of the ways that I do reality testing. I come into nature and I walk around in nature. One of the things I do here, since the water is so warm, even though it's winter, I'm down, it was like, I think it was cold today. It's 70 degrees, that's a cold day. I mean, it does get kind of cold. It gets down to 50 at night, but this is winter, seriously, and the water's warm enough that the water's almost 70 degrees, or I think 70 degrees. There's the little surf spot. Look at that. You can see on the right side of the screen under the water, the rocks where the water is deeper, and that creates a channel. And so there's that left. If you know what a left is, you know what I'm talking about. Now those waves are tiny, but I've surfed it a little bigger than that, and it was amazing. And here's another lesson for you. Always listen to what people tell you. Last week I was out surfing, probably a quarter mile down the beach. And I was telling the guy as I paddled out that I was waiting for the tide to come up. And I didn't hear what he said, number one, because I had earplugs in and because he had a really thick accent and the waves were breaking and all that kind of stuff. And he starts pointing down the beach. And he starts pointing on the beach and saying, look, see, there's a couple of people. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but I got the impression he was trying to tell me that I should surf down the beach. Now, here's another reality test for you. My first reaction to that is, oh, he's localizing the place and he's telling me I can't surf there. Except that he would do things like, wow, that was a great wave you just had, and he's smiling and he's wanting to ask questions. So, in my head, I'm realizing he's not saying something mean. He's actually giving me some information. I didn't understand what the information was at the time. Now I do. He was saying that up the beach at low tide, because I had said that day I was waiting for the tide to come up, because at that particular place the waves are better at high tide. He was telling me, if you want to surf someplace at low tide, go down the beach. See, here come some people from there. They were just surfing there. And even though my first reaction was I thought he was trying to push me out of his surf spot, because that's the kind of crap people do in California. They probably do it here too, where it's crowded, but out here in the middle of nowhere, they don't do that. But I grew up with that, so I've been programmed to respond to other surfers negatively. So that's why one of the things that's so great about being here is everybody's so friendly. So my first reaction was that he was trying to tell me not to surf his spot. But what he was telling me was, you should surf that place at low tide. That's a really nice place to surf. I remembered that, which is why I walked down the beach. One day I took a walk down the beach and I got all the way down to this spot from another spot. And I saw, wow, the waves break really nicely here. So doing some reality testing. Anyway, I'm babbling on and on, but part of what I'm doing is just showing you how amazing it is. Now, you saw that. You saw how beautiful that is. That, add some surfable waves, and I have everything I need. I have nature, I have warm water, I have empty surf, I have friendly people on the beach. I've got everything. It's a first world country, so I've got all of the conveniences. Except there's one thing I got to say. There's something about Australians, and I guess New Zealanders too. For some reason, they don't have clothes dryers. I mean, if you look hard enough, you'll find them. But I've talked to people, and they have some pride issue about not using clothes dryers. And they'll say, well, we've got all this sunlight. You might as well just dry your clothes out. And, you always have two pairs of everything. And then if you press them on it, then they start getting defensive and they say, well, I do it to save energy and to save money. And I'm thinking, seriously? The amount of money you spend to dry your clothes? I mean, the amount of time that you spend waiting for your clothes. And when the clothes are dry after they've been sitting on the thing, they're like, the towels are like sandpaper. So it's like, really? Anyway, that's just some cultural thing that they're defensive about. If you push them on it, they get kind of defensive about why they do it. And I'm never going to do that. But they have, cars and with gasoline, and they've got televisions, and they've got refrigerators, and they've got washing machines for their dishes. They've got dishwashers, but they're not going to get a dryer for their clothes. Because my dad didn't use one, and I'm not going to use one. Anyway. So what the hell am I saying? Well, so what I'm saying is that I'm in my perfection. This is my perfection here. And part of, again, when I'm feeling like this, I start to get sad because then I start thinking, what if I can't live here? What if I can't live here permanently? And then I get sad because I don't want to go back to California. I just don't. Maybe that'll change, but I don't. I haven't been to New Zealand yet. I can tell you New Zealand is too cold for me. But I think the waves are going to be just as good, if not better, and less crowded. And the people are going to be even more friendly from what I hear. And even less like Americans, which in a good way, which you don't have to know what that means to me. But so, the reality test is there's probably no pressure that I need to do anything. After talking to the woman today on the beach who pays double taxes because she has dual citizenship, and she was happy to do it. She was grateful to do it. She was grateful to live there. I started thinking to myself, maybe I don't want to become anything other than, maybe I just want to stay the eternal tourist. And because of the way U.S. taxes are and what I do, there's I don't have to pay as much taxes as I almost certainly would have to do here, even though I make more money here. The dollar is it's like 68 right now. The conversion rate is 68 cents to the Australian dollar is 68 U.S. cents. And so money-wise, it's pretty good. And I can probably do this indefinitely as long as I don't abuse the system. I can probably just go here and then. But what about other places like Indonesia? Some great surfing in Indonesia. All over the South Pacific. There's all kinds of places I can go. Thailand. If I had to, what is that place? Other places here, the South Pacific, Polynesian islands all up and down. I could go to Hawaii if I had to, but I really don't want to do that. So as I'm talking about it, I'm now getting a reality check. And this is one of the reasons I do. It's not enough to do it in your head. You got to actually talk it through. But this is why it's always good to have a mentor. For those of you out there who are spiritual seekers, who are doing it on your own, you're operating at like 15% capacity. I'm here to tell you that if you are a spiritual seeker, if you struggle with emotional challenges, if you struggle with poverty, if you struggle with success, if you struggle with failure, if you struggle with these things and you are drawn to all of the conspiracy stuff and you want to go off on all that, and you find yourself going down victim mentality mindsets, it's because you're doing it on your own. And it's really important to have somebody or a group of people, and not on the internet, not on a forum, who can reflect back to you what is really going on, give you a reality check, do a reality test. And I'm feeling better just now that I've talked myself through it and I've watched myself go down that. And I'm remembering where I was just 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I was in Manhattan Beach, and it was cold as hell and rainy, and the water was polluted, and the waves were crappy. The waves where I were are good a third, maybe half of the time. When they're good, they're good, and when they're bad. And the south swells come up, and it just closes out the beaches. And any places that do break well, they're so crowded. You know, it's like you can't. I like having beaches, just endless beaches that just have, you know, just pick a direction and you'll find where some good waves are. I love that. I love being all by myself in the middle of the ocean. My teacher shakes his head and rolls his eyes. He doesn't understand that, but he's not a surfer. But if you're a surfer, you know what I'm talking about. Being by yourself in crystal clear, aqua green water where there's, you know, turtles and tropical fish and, you know, just empty, beautiful waves and sunny weather, offshore breezes, you know, and I have that here. And I mean, it cost me less money. So I'm doing some reality checking here. What's the worst that could happen? Worst that could happen is that I bounce around for a couple of years and then go back and move to probably, you know, San Clemente, California or someplace like that where there's some good waves. While I'm still young enough, I bounce around and get it all out of my system. I'm in a perfect location where I can go to South Pacific, really great, beautiful surfing breaks while I'm still young enough. I've got the money to do it. I've got the free time to do it. So you see, I'm doing some reality checking, and now I feel a lot better. Feel a lot better now. Any case, I didn't give you this video for you to email me or to try and fix me. I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't need that. I've got some other things coming up. I don't know if it'll go through, but I met with a local guy here and did some drumming, and I might do some teaching of some drumming. I've connected with two people now who teach Qigong. And I haven't pressed them on it, but you know, those are options potentially for me to look at and say, hey, can I teach out of your studio? And all of that gets me back into being who I am. I for whatever reason, I just couldn't teach drumming or Qigong anymore in Southern California. I don't know why, I just couldn't. But I feel much more successful, and that is part, this is important, that is part of why the sadness and the depression is coming up. It's because you need to remember this. For most people, most of the time, not all of the people all the time, but for most people, most of the time, when you determine what your soul desire is, neo.thunderwizard.com, when you determine what your soul desire is, and you go after it and you take risks, one of the first things that happens is you become crippled with sadness, depression, disillusion, confusion, doubt, fear. That's one of the first things. That's one of the things they don't tell you at the Law of Attraction seminar cruises where Zohar is channeled through, what's her name? She doesn't tell you that. Because she tells you that if you have bad feelings, bad things happen to you. She tells you, and I know because I read it, I read a quote from her. She said it. She said that that it's not about action. She said it right out. I'll tell you why she said it. She said it because nobody wants to go through challenging emotions. People want it. That's the whole idea of having it come to you. You just have the happy feeling and it is magnetically drawn to you. It means you just sit on your ass. You don't do anything. You don't have to take any risks or take any action or change yourself in any way, and it just comes to you and you're like, it comes knocking on your door. But that's not how it works all the time. It's not that there are times that that doesn't happen. It's usually as a result, even if it does come knocking on your door, there's something that you did, there's an action that you took to bring it about. And so I am here to tell you, because I am in the midst, I'm still off the cliff. I told you I was jump off the cliff. I'm still free floating off the cliff. I don't know where I'm going to land. So far, the experiment has worked. I had no idea what was going to happen. I had very little idea what was going to happen. But things could have gone very wrong. I could have ended up someplace I didn't want to be. I could have been miserable, and I could have had no place to go, and I would have been stuck here in a foreign country that I wasn't having a good time with. But the opposite has happened. I want this to be my home. I want to live here. And I'm telling myself that because I came here knowing that there were going to be a lot of challenging times. Not only just, the uncertainty of the reality of the situation, but all of my old stuff coming up. But the other great thing is there's no way for me to get to the level of consciousness that I want to get to about all of these issues of, letting go even of my childhood. Because I'm letting go of my identity. And you let go of your identity, you're letting go of the part of your life that formed your identity. When people die, this happened to my mom. When my mom, was really old and, lost her connection to reality before she died, she thought she was a little girl. And she would ask, where her mother was. And we'd have to say, the people there would, said her name and said, she's not here. She's gone. Well, when did that happen? She thought she was a little girl. That's because she was losing her life. Her life was this incarnation was going away, and what you were getting down to was when in the deepest of her unconscious was the time when she formed her identity, which was when she was a little girl. There's no shortage of battlefield anecdotes of soldiers that after they're dying on the battlefield, in their last moments they say mommy. These are tough guys that went out, and their last moments they say mommy. It's because they're losing their life and they're going back to their core identity. That's why it's so important to know what your unconscious programming is. Because when you formed your identity, when you were a little kid, when you formed your identity, that's when you put together all of the universe is bad, money is bad, you can't trust people, men are no good, women are no good, whatever. That's when you put it all together, when you created your identity. So it's important to go through that. In the runes, you have the Yuhua's rune, which is the one that looks like the hook goes up and down like that. The Yuhua's rune, right smack dab in the middle of the rune deck is the Yuhua's rune. The rune of transformation from life to death, the Yu tree. You have to go through that. This is why shamans go through a death, sometimes a very real death where they physically die and come back to life, or they become sick, or they go crazy, or they just go through a just tremendous emotional upheaval. It's because they have to be willing to let go of who they think they are. So I'm going through that. I came out here. I put myself in this pressure cooker to do that. And now I'm sitting here talking again. I'm grateful that I don't have a clear path. That I'm in this unresolved place where I can't just say, yep, I want to live here forever. I don't have that option at the moment. Because now I get to really allow that uncertainty and that discomfort to become a pressure cooker where I have to take a look at who I am, who I think I am, and who I want to be. Okay? So, I don't know what I said, but I'm done saying it. Again, subscribe, hit the bell button. neo.thunderwizard.com, guys. I put those links there for a reason. People keep asking me, where can I get this and where can I get that? Courses.thunderwizard.com. Go there and check out every single link. Even if it's not something you want, then you won't have to email me and ask me a question of how can I get this from you or where can I get that. It's all right here at courses.thunderwizard.com. And go to thunderwizard.com. The best way to support this work is to subscribe. If you're not going to purchase a service like the rune reading or the astrology reading, then the other thing you can do, astrology reading, astrology.thunderwizard.com. The other thing you can do is to go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. Even if you subscribe at the lowest level, what happens is that gives me an idea of how much income I have so that I can put more time and effort into the videos and to teach you how to do what I'm doing. Remember, if you want what I have, you got to do what I do. You don't know what it is that I do? neo.thunderwizard.com. Those 4 things, those 4 tools are the bedrock of my entire life. Everything else that I teach, all the shamanism, all the spiritual stuff, all that other stuff is on top of that. If you don't have that foundation of neo.thunderwizard.com, those 4 tools, you're not going to get anywhere near as much out of all that other stuff as you would. So that's it. Okay, guys. Thanks. I look forward to talking to you soon.